Muslim world hypocrisy on Quran burning reactions. Aren't all the Qurans the same? The answer is yes. But it is not the case for so-called Muslim world. This is Ideal Times with Tahir Iman. In today's episode, I'm going to discuss the Muslim world hypocrisy on Quran burning reactions. Days after a copy of Quran was set on fire during a protest in Stockholm, the Turkish President Erdogan turned the incident into a global controversy and blocked Sweden from joining NATO. Other Muslim countries and communities also blamed the event. It isn't a massive, a huge response from entire Muslim world? Yes, it is. It's good for you to protect the dignity of your faith. I'm also on that side. That's great. Okay. But the Muslim world, on the other hand, has had very different reactions to the same Quran burning that has been happening in China for years. When it happened in the West, the Muslim government's leaders reacted very strongly. When a Westerner guy, a very simple individual, private citizen, did burn the Quran, the entire Muslim communities blamed even not only that person, entire Western society and even their governments for an individual incident behavior. But when Chinese government, as the name, a state, as the name, with the name of entire government, did the same thing, no Muslim government stood up for the same Holy Quran. This is hypocrisy from entire Muslim world. For years, all major media outlets have reported, independent think tanks have documented, and Uyghurs around the world have testified that the Chinese government has destroyed thousands of mosques. Millions of Uyghur Muslims were arrested. Religious leaders were sentenced to long-term prisons and killed. Not only Qurans were burned, Muslims were forced to eat pork. And the Chinese government installed the Chinese officials into Uyghur homes and forced Uyghur women to sleep with those Chinese officials. That is called Unified Chinese Family Campaign. In many cases, the Chinese officials, including Chinese police and paramilitary officers, raped Uyghur Muslim women. And this is reported by BBC and other major media outlets. So why don't do the same? Why don't you do the same, Muslim world? The same thing, same reaction, same blame, same protest. When the Chinese government has done even worse, the same thing, in the name of government, in the name of a state, you blame entire Western society, Western culture for one single person's individual behavior. But the entire Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party, done more even worse thing when they have waged a war on Islam. Where did you go? Are you afraid of the Chinese government? Are you sold out for Chinese government's investment in your countries? The world is watching you and laughing at you. You are making fun of yourself. It is ridiculous. And we Uyghurs across the world, we are watching you. Some of your delegations go to the Uyghur region, Uyghur homeland, and see the performances by the Chinese government, and then come back to your country and speak to the media, and you say as a testimony that you have witnessed great progress in Chinese government's human rights. And Muslim Muslims in that region are enjoying the best lives and happiness. Now, we have seen you don't stand for Islam or Quran. You are just fake. Where did you go all the years? Do you worship Chinese government or Almighty Allah? Is not there only one Quran? The Qurans the Uyghur Muslims read, and the Qurans you read isn't the same Quran? Isn't the Qurans that burned by the Chinese government the same Quran that burned by a Swedish guy? It is the same Quran. But you are not the same Muslims. And now we can say that you cannot represent the Islam. You cannot represent the faith unless you will be consistent. You remain as strong when you stand up anything that the other governments like China has done against Islam and the Muslim world. So today, I am reacting more strongly because I am Uyghur. I'm a member of entire Uyghur society, and the last 6 years, entire world has been witnessing the modern day genocide and Chinese war on Islam and the Muslims. When we are witnessing this, and Western countries are standing up for the same issue and accusing the Chinese government of genocide by proving all the crimes that Chinese government committed. And the Muslim world, they have been voting for the Chinese government at the United Nations, sending delegations to support the Chinese government and accepting the Chinese government's large investment into their countries, and helping the Chinese government to surveillance, monitor the Uyghur people in their countries, and even deporting so many Uyghurs to the Chinese government, to China. And this is ridiculous. This is crime. So we can say that the so-called Muslim world is complicit in China's crimes against humanity and the Chinese genocide of Uyghurs. Quran doesn't support this. Islam doesn't support this. If you are true Muslim, if you are not fake, you need to stand up. You need to speak the truth. What the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the Abzalul Jihad is speaking the truth. The most honorable, the most important holy war is speaking the truth in front of a zalim, a brutal regime like the Chinese government. So it's your obligation. Thank you very much. Let's see in our next episode. This is Ideals Times with Tahir.